even youngsters, if they can start building on their own, I think they can do even bigger things. Instead of the old playbooks of trying to find a job where you can fit in as an intern or a junior, might not exist. It might change. But like if you want to build something, there is a entire world in front of you where you can try. And even if you fail, people are going to happy to take you in because you come with a self-taught MBA.
Sayanthan, welcome to the show.
Hi, Shafraz. Glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
If you can tell a little bit about yourself, how you got started, where did you study, and then also how was your corporate life was like?
I was born in Jaffna, but I studied in Kandy, and then I ended up at in the corporate world in Colombo. So if you really look at sort of my journey with respect to education, I specialized in computer science, and also in parallel, I did my CIMA as well. But I never practiced. But although I have that knowledge, and then I got into the corporate world. I think that's where we met long time back. Soon after I finished my A levels, I was playing around with. We had a lot of time left on our hands, so I was playing around with software, and then I thought it was easy to start building software, and I started building stuff without any knowledge, and that was almost like love at first sight with software, where I thought like, okay, this is amazing that I could sort of start building things. And since then, I've continued to sort of try to build software on one hand. And then later on, I think I also stumbled upon, in a professional context and also in a not-for-profit context, into community building. So I've been very fortunate that I've been able to experience building products on one hand and also building communities. So these are two things that I've enjoyed doing a lot.
Sayanthan, you did CIMA while you were studying computer science. So it seems very interesting and different, sort of two different angles in education. So tell us a little bit about what made you get into like CIMA and then any stories behind it.
It was a trend at that point of time. Everybody was doing CIMA, so I thought like, why not? And so my mother asked me whether if I want to do CIMA, and then I said, yeah, why not? And then we had a small disagreement because her expectation about how to study that and how I wanted to study that was very different. Because for her it was important that I went to classes and studied, whereas for me, I assumed that she was okay with me doing it as a self-study. So we had a disagreement on that, and then we agreed that I went and said, in case if I fail the exams, then you don't have to sort of pay for it. So she gave me that chance where, okay, you study, and if you get through, then I'll pay for the next stage. So it was all fun. It was going well, and it came to the I think till strategic level. I don't recall failing any of the exams. And then we have the final exam is a case study that we'll have to do. So it's funny that I actually failed the case study thrice. It's not just once, I just failed it thrice. And then for the life of me, I couldn't understand. I failed it with 50 was the pass mark, and I failed it like 46, 47, 45 or something like that. Like it's all in the 40s, like upper end of the 40s. And for the life of me, I couldn't figure out why I was failing. And then somehow there's this session that happened in Colombo where CIMA had this session in Colombo where the examiner from the UK was here, and there was a half a day workshop. So I attended that workshop, and there was this aha moment in the workshop where he said something which was profound and which has actually helped me in my career a lot. He said, in business, it's not about making sure you get to the best decision, but within the time limit, you need to make a decision and get it executed. Like the mistake I had been making in all those papers was that I was making sure that all the steps, the calculations are right, the analysis are right. And every time I've been running out of time to come up with the decision or the proposal of my decision in the paper at practical purposes, what you need to be doing is making decisions within time constraints. It's not going to be perfect. Even with partial data, you'll have to make decisions in life, in corporate life, in business, and all of that. That was a profound sort of experience. And now looking back, probably it was worth failing it thrice because I learned that, and it has actually helped me with my career progression due date, because sometimes people are reluctant to make decisions, whereas because of this experience that I've had of failing the exam, I understood the importance of making decisions, even if it's right or wrong. You need to make decisions in a timely manner, and then face the consequences, or sort of live with it, or adapt based on what's happening.
When you look at the corporate world and the businesses, there are a lot of ambiguity. With less data, you have to make quicker decisions, like especially in a day and age like now, where things are very can be very uncertain, and also not everyone knows everything that's going to happen.
මොනවද ඔය ෆොටෝ ගන්නවා?
මම ස්නැප්ට රිවෝඩ්ස් එකතු කරනවා. අපිට පුළුවන් අපේ එලෙක්ට්‍රිසිටි බිල ගෙවා ගන්න ස්නැප්ට පොයින්ට්ස් වලින්.
ඔයත් අදම ස්නැපිට් ඩවුන්ලෝඩ් කරගන්න.
You had a vision, and the team had a vision to make Jaffna the next Silicon Valley. So that's sort of like a motto that you have for Yarl IT Hub. How this whole concept of Yarl IT Hub came about? What was the sort of initial thought, and then how did you go about it?
So first of all, I need to be very clear that no single individual, including myself, should get any credit for what has happened with the RIT Hub. It's magic at play. It's beyond any of us, and also the reason why I don't think anyone can take credit for it is because a lot of people, thousands of people, volunteer every year. People are putting their money into it in the form of sponsorships and partnerships. None of them get anything in return, to be honest. There are people who are putting money, time, and it's actually a community effort, a collective effort. In Tamil, we use this term. It says "Ur hudi elukkum ther," which basically means it's a chariot being pulled by the community. So that's what's exactly happening. And to give some context for everyone, northern Sri Lanka was primarily the theater of the war. We had a 30-year civil war. And after the end of the war, after a couple of years of the end of the war, we started the RIT Hub. The reason we started was because we wanted to create economic prosperity in the region and opportunities for the youth to sort of pursue. And we felt that technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship are the tools which can transform the community and help in the process of healing. Even today, if you look at the statistics, the north and the eastern provinces are the highest in terms of poverty, the worst in terms of GDP, the worst in terms of per capita income. So this is the context in which we operate, and having said all of that, the most encouraging sign that we see as part of the RIDF's work is that there's clear momentum where the children and the youth are taking to technology innovation and entrepreneurship. So 15 years ago, when we started the Yarl IT Hub, we launched a competition because we understood that this is a lot of work and generational work that need to happen. So we understood that we need to seed this idea while they're children and start at that level. So when we had the YGC Junior 14 years ago, we had just 13 kids turning up for it. And today, like last year into 2025, we had 2,500 plus children applying for it. And now every year we see 30% increase in participation. So for example, when we ran YGC 1 15 years ago as a pitch competition, we had a handful of sort of teams coming and participating. None of them actually became a startup immediately. Whereas today, fast forward, there are more than 100 companies run by alumni of YGC. They employ 1,000 plus people. Outside of Colombo, Jaffna has the most number of startups in technology, which is still early momentum, but there's a clear momentum on the ground in terms of participation and talent which is emerging, which is very encouraging to see. Youth sometimes, if you really look at the structure of higher education here, only about 18 to 20% will get into universities or would have the money to get into private universities. So we designed this technology school, which is called Uki. We designed this technology school where we take them in. It's 100% scholarship. They sort of learn to program. They have personal coaching. They learn English. They learn the basics of business, and they build a piece of software. And during that the 6 months, they do it end to end, and then they go in either as interns into tech companies or they had become founders. So there are actually 30 companies founded by people who had gone through the 6 months program out of our technology school. So these are programs that has been designed and run, and this is entirely by the community. It's like volunteers coming together, partners putting money on it and making this happen. So that's why I again want to reiterate that it's beyond any of our imaginations.
I have been to Yarl IT Challenge 5 times or 4 or 5 times. Yarl IT Hub and then Yarl IT Challenge, whenever that I attended, I returned back to Colombo with a lot of inspiration. I returned back with a lot of stories to tell to rest of the Colombo. So it was very interesting. And at the same time, you pointed out like how small things are started off. You only had 13 kids from the school level, and then you only had very few people who actually didn't line up. You didn't have a lineup of people who jumped in and want to become entrepreneurs, right? It's also a mindset that you, when you want to become a entrepreneur, you should be able to like take challenges. That's not how being taught in Sri Lankan culture, right? You study, go to work under someone. But I think you have been changing mindset also over past few years. When we look at YGC, like the latest season that you concluded, I think some of the big names in tech, some of the big investors are attending YGC now, and then a lot of big companies in Sri Lanka are also partnering up with this. What's your secret sauce? How did you get them to be a part of this program?
It's funny now we have the luxury of saying all of this, but when we started, it was just a handful of companies who actually supported, and we are thankful for them for doing that. And organizations who came on board, the really supporters. We even at one time went thought that we want to raise funds and stuff like that. We want to go and pitch, and then we didn't get good results. So what we did was we just went back and did what we did properly. And to be honest, like the platinum sponsors today of Yarl IT Hub, people like IT Foundation, people like CIMA Global, people like Musk, Aravanai to Northern Uni, even Nebara, all of them actually found us, the work that we are doing, and then came and approached to become a partner. So that was just magic happening, because like we wouldn't have been able to go and convince any of them, but they saw the work that we do, and then they came. So I think the recipe that it's hard. Like I think when things become successful, it's easy to sort of say that this was the recipe and all of that. But like there are few things I think is repeatable. Obviously, one big factor has been we've been lucky. So I think that I need to confess. But then one thing was the vision of what we wanted to do. I think it resonated and it connected quickly. Even you, like that's the first time you said, right, about your idea. You just remember it very easily. The vision was clear, and the mission was clear. And then I think most importantly, we were very lucky. I don't know what happened, but we actually defined our values up front, distributed decision making at all levels, because the values are clear, and within those values you can do anything within the Yarl IT Hub. And it's very flat. We don't have designations as such and all of that, unless you are a full-time employee who's dedicated your career to it. All of us are volunteers. And then if you look at the values, we also defined a value like, let's say, being apolitical. So operating this kind of an environment, it was very lucky that we made that decision to be apolitical. So we've stayed out of all of that. And that has allowed us to independently operate in the way we want to operate. We've stayed corporate and technology independent. So it's a platform for all of them. So likewise, and these values we defined 15 years ago. We were just lucky that we made that decision. And that has helped us in decision making, especially in a distributed way. And also we stayed transparent so people can come in, contribute with ideas. Everyone could chip in, and everyone rolls up their sleeves and does things. Like, for example, even still now I think you should visit by GC. It will happen in August. We have 20,000 people attending. So it's just grown to be something. And there are, like, if you look at Jaffna, still the infrastructure is not there. We don't have event management companies and so forth. So even from taking out the garbage to arranging the chairs, it'll be the CEOs of the companies, of the alumni companies and volunteers who's rolling up their sleeves and doing it right up till 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock in the night. So it's beautiful to see this, and people who come in, like even yourself, to all of that. It became addictive for a lot of people to keep coming back because they just enjoyed. I'm sure if you're not moved out of the country, you would have also continued to come. So most people are like that, like who are part of this journey has been coming and being part of this year after year. It's almost become like a pilgrimage for coming to the YGC and the beach competition, and now of course the innovation festival. So it's grown, and I think those are probably the characteristics which allow this community to sort of build into something sustainable.
Wow, 20,000 people. That's almost like one of the biggest tech events that happens in APAC. Something that I really vouch for is the involvement of the volunteers. They roll up their sleeves and then they say, okay, I'm going to help to execute this. And they've been executing this for 15 plus years now. So that execution, like every time, every year, when you have your execution going on, I think it compounds over time. And then it adds value as well. Like when things compound, there's almost like a sort of law of attraction kind of thing that happens over a period of time as well. That's something that I've seen. People who have moved out, who are based out of Jaffna, moved out to work in Silicon Valley, in the US, in Europe, also like very passionately helping out this cause because they want the region to be successful. They want this making Jaffna to be the next Silicon Valley a reality. I think that comes out of a lot of I think passion. So coming up to like some of the success stories, right? You mentioned about like 100 plus startups. I know Senzagro is doing some amazing work when they started off. Also, um, even Miller had like connections to like India. They were like trying to do stuff in India as well, which is pretty amazing. So any of the interesting startups that has come up from Yarl IT Hub that you want to share?
Go shopping with Snapit and grab unbelievable rewards from the brands you love. Download Snapit now.
So I'm not going to name companies right now because I didn't ask them for the permission, but I'm sure they're all going to turn up in your podcast in future and they will talk. So I'll let them sort of refer it, but I'll give you context of this. So one of the beautiful things that has also happened is there's hundreds of companies, and I just want to pick a few, and all of them are doing amazing work. And you named already SenseMate, Sensagro, and stuff like that, which is doing amazing work. There's a lot of companies who actually now come out of this. Some of them established very well, 100 people companies and so forth, which is in operation, 100 engineer companies and so forth, which is doing amazingly well. One of the beautiful things is the fact that the most sort of rewarding, there are two things that has actually come out of it. There was this donor organization which actually was talking to us and evaluating the work that we did. So they were doing due diligence on us. And then they came and they said something which was very interesting. So this was the first time they actually saw a program where a beneficiary, their terminology, they call it as beneficiary, has actually come back to become a sponsor of the program. So at YGC, one of the beautiful things that has happened is that we have sponsors now who are alumni companies. So that's something which I think is remarkable. Secondly, something that makes us very happy, and this has been a rewarding experience, is to find juniors who came while they were at school. So they were at school when they came and competed at YGC Junior, and the fact that we've run for 14 years, we have people who participated at Junior who are now CEOs of their companies, running companies with 25 people, 30 people, 40 people, which is another like sort of a rewarding experience. This is what we sort of envisioned at some point of time. Anything that you do, when you keep doing it consistently, the compounding laws of compounding sort of kicks in. And then when you turn back and look at it, it looks like magic that has happened. Even across programs, because now we have expanded, even like we even run entrepreneurship clubs at schools. I don't know whether you would believe that we actually give cash to children at school where they design businesses and run businesses, and we run a competition at provincial level where we reward the school which has made the most amount of money using that. We give another award for the team, the club which has made the most amount of impact with that money, and the third award for the best business model innovation. So children are actually designing and running businesses. That's the best way in which you can sort of learn entrepreneurship. So there's a lot happening currently.
That's actually a culture change as well, because that's not how we've been brought up. Parents would pamper us, and then we really don't know the value of money. But like once you have money, once you start spending, start earning at the early stage, they definitely need to learn about like financial management and all sorts of things which are like very, very useful, that every school should be teaching at an early stage.
Yeah, so there are actually 65 schools which actually have entrepreneurship clubs with this model in the northern province today. And it's amazing. Like we have this thing at the 5GC Innovation Festival where they come and showcase what they have sort of done. We have schools from like even some of the islands who actually came up with massively innovative business model innovations. And they run all kinds of things. You would expect them to sometimes run a business like running a bookshop or something to make money, but they were running cricket tournaments, exercise cricket tournaments, and getting money out of sponsorships and making money out of it. Another school was actually running puppet shows to make money out of it. So they understand that now all of this can be business. Like when we were kids, we never thought that cricket can be a business, right? So they are thinking very differently. So it's very encouraging signs for the future.
That's very true, and especially that's a very good sign for Northern Province as well. Sayanthan, I have not seen this model elsewhere, even across the world and then across the region also. Like there's one such story, a similar story in Vietnam, where the people who are going through this program, they tend to kind of encourage the alumni to come back and help other people out, and then to recruit, etc. I think the same model is happening in YGC as well. But if someone wants to like sort of replicate the same model, can be in Sri Lanka or maybe elsewhere, like is there a way for them to do it? Should they be in touch with you? How does it work?
So that's actually an offer that we've been making to everybody. So it's just that we don't have the bandwidth to replicate ourselves, but we've learned a lot of things along this journey, and we are happy to share all of this with anyone who wants to sort of replicate a similar model, a community-driven innovation model. And a lot of things that we do, we actually even open source it. And for example, we run a book program for grade 6 to 9 students. It's a gamified program because with COVID, we saw a massive drop in participation from schools in YGC Junior. So we wanted rural participation to come back again. So we designed this program where the first level of the program doesn't have anything to do with technology. It's basically like it would have a work item to say, go and collect different types of flowers in the garden, tabulate the number of petals in it, and then we introduce Fibonacci numbers to them. Then we showed them how Fibonacci numbers is used in architecture. So they start with something very primitive, but learn something very advanced at the end of that sort of worksheet. So what we have done is we run this like we design such programs, and they complete level 1, and then they get into level 2, and then they get into level 3. Level 3, we introduce programming and stuff like that. Like last year's level 3 was one of the levels was quantum computing. So this is for grade 6 to 9 students. They complete, okay? So this book program has more than 5,000 people, 5,000 students year on year participating on it. So, and they can send it by post. So they don't have to even send it by, or they have the option of sending it by WhatsApp, Viber, and all of that as well. So the point I was trying to make is this book program, the design of the book and everything, we actually release it with the most lenient Creative Commons licenses. Because we want actually people to take this and replicate it anywhere they want to replicate. Along with this, I'm just taking this book as a one example of thing that we open source, but like everything that we do, we are happy to share, because we feel that although it's not seen, it's highly possible for people to replicate this in other places. You'll have to tinker it, customize it, localize it, but there are some high-level fundamentals which will stay the same.
Like you mentioned, the whole program has been open source, and I leave a link to the program if someone wants to sort of get in touch or maybe contribute. This book idea is very interesting. So how do you create these type of like worksheets? Can people get involved in helping out to create worksheets like this?
Absolutely. So what happens is we have a research team who anchors the project, but then we have volunteers who actually chip in with ideas, with worksheets, and also reviewing that. So like even all those parts are done completely voluntarily. So they sort of get involved in that, and it's a different book every year. So it's 3 levels of book and an entirely different book every year. So that it's a new experience. They learn something, and it's the theme is very different from year to year, and so forth. So we would love to have participation from more people. There's so much scope for people to volunteer and sort of get involved. And also by learning, if they can replicate in their own communities anywhere in the world, we would love to see that happen.
There are across the world, there are different markers, like similar conditions of what Jaffna had and has as well. Because what we have seen is what happens in the US, like the communities that are being started off easily gets replicated. But hey, come on. In Sri Lanka, there's a totally different social, community-driven innovation model that people can take in and run into. While you were building entrepreneurs in Jaffna, you let go of corporate life and became an entrepreneur yourself now with manja.ai. So really is interesting. That's an AI startup. Do you want to share a little bit about what you do?
Sure. So I didn't actually quit my corporate job to become an entrepreneur. I quit my job thinking that I want to retire. So I was like, I had a target that okay, I need to have more time on my hands. And one of the things was like we were doing Yarl IT Hub and stuff like that, but always I was missing living in Jaffna. So I wanted to sort of move and live in Jaffna. So that was the main reason I quit my full-time job and I moved to Jaffna. Once I moved here, I was just playing around with technology and I had more time to build. So I spent a lot of time building stuff. And then first I actually spent a lot of time with blockchains, trying to understand and all of that. And then I found that it's a brilliant piece of maths that is waiting for problems to be sort of where it could fit in to solve. Very early on, I got into AI and I started experimenting a lot with AI. And then what happened was while I was in my corporate life at Aplova, one of the things I had to do was like I had to look at some of the operational aspects, which also included managing inside sales teams. So I come from a technical background and I had no idea managing a sales team. So it was a suffering for me because sales numbers fluctuates. People do demos, sometimes it doesn't close. It's hard to sort of put a finger and say exactly this is why sales numbers are not sort of working out this month. And a top performer, sometimes it's very hard to differentiate from a low performer. To give feedback to the low performer, we found it very hard. And then I realized that I love chess. I play a lot of chess. As in, not that I'm a good chess player. Probably I'll rate myself as an average club player. But I love the game. When I'm just sort of stressed, I would go and play online chess. My coping mechanism, I suppose. So I love chess, and one of the things that I realized was like when you want to sort of improve in chess, you either figure out where your deficiencies are. So in a game of chess, you might have a deficiency in your opening, middle game, or end game, or you might have deficiencies in detecting certain patterns like techniques. So you might not see a fork or whatever. Sales is similar. So when you have a sales conversation, a demo, you have a structure to it. Some people are good at explaining or eliciting the customer's requirements, but they are bad at asking for the sale. So they do everything well, but they don't ask for the sale. So the sale doesn't close. Or sometimes what happens is they do all the parts well, but then they don't handle objections well. They might bring up an objection about a competitor and they don't sort of answer that well. Or they have issues in sales techniques. So, for example, they might not be doing mirroring, or they might not be doing value selling, or they might not be using social proofs in their conversations. So I realized, like, okay, this is a nice fit for AI, for inside sales teams doing this. So I started building manja.ai. It was not manja.ai, I was just building a solution for it. And then there were people who said, like, okay, this is interesting. I analyzed a few companies' data and showed them. They said, like, okay, we are ready to pay for it. And I didn't have a company. So I just registered a company just because people were ready to pay for it. So that's how I sort of got into entrepreneurship sort of journey as such. And then I was also fascinated by AI. I wanted to see as an individual how much you can push. Even today, manja.ai, I work on it full time. There's a teenager who's actually handling the content and social media part of it, and the rest is I'm trying to see how much as an individual you can push this using AI, and it's a fascinating journey because I myself from skills and learning and all of that learned a lot, and also it's contributing as in it's helping businesses because one of the latest features that we launched was live coaching. So while you're on a call, a demo, you could actually have an overlay on your call, which is actually listening in and pulling up your battle cards, pulling up your deficiencies to remind you, don't forget to ask for the sale. This particular thing came up in the conversation. The customer mentioned you have missed it. You might want to just address it. So instead of giving this feedback later on, it's actually doing it live. So building those kind of stuff has been fascinating because it's fun. So it's early days, but it's a fun journey and I'm enjoying it.
That's pretty fantastic. Like, especially the overlay part, look at different aspects of the sale and then like try to close it at the end of the day, right? With AI, I think you pointed out like a very important point is that like you dabbling with the whole idea after sort of retirement, I would say. But the thing is like you were able to like build something up very quickly and then push it out and then see how the market would react. And you've been also like a very vocal advocate about AI, and then you were talking about um, especially about the new intern, the human AI co-creation, and then you also have this Indiapam sickle analogy, etc. So you are pro AI type of a person. So in your opinion, like how does like future of software development looks like?
Right. I'm not sure if I want to call myself a pro AI person, but I think I will call myself a technology optimist. So normally I have an optimistic sort of outlook on technology. I can go wrong on this, especially with AI, it can go anywhere. So one of the things I think is it actually technology has pushed us forward. It has helped us. The net has been positive. Is my view on technology. Obviously, technology has its sort of drawbacks, issues, and all of that. But like if you really look at overall at a massive scale, at a macro scale, it has been a net positive. And I feel that the AI is a pivotal moment in the history of humankind. And also, I think that software industry as a whole is having its Kodak moment. It's going to turn it on its head, and I don't think the software industry is going to sort of disappear, but the software is going to get commoditized. So, for example, there are places where software couldn't go in earlier because the unit economics of building that software didn't work. But now it's possible to take software to those places where software couldn't go in, because it's become faster, cheaper, to build. Now the challenge is in actually taking it to market, making it work, making it useful for people, making lives better with it, and so forth. So, like a very quick example that I will show you. Like on Yarl IT Hub, we always wanted to have a platform for ourselves, which we couldn't. But now, if you look at, we have a complete platform for Yarl IT Hub, where you can register, you can have a QR code. Now we can track the impact across all our initiatives. So we can now track that this person came as a junior participant, came to a senior, then was part of our accelerator, and all of that is completely tracked. And even the attendance, everything is tracked on a single platform. None of the CRMs could actually do this for us. Now, with the help of AI, it's vibe coded and built, and it's on production. I was just checking out, like, we've not even publicly announced, but there's about 1,000 plus sort of already registered and using that. So this is something that we couldn't have done. We are a not-for-profit. We don't have that luxury of like massive budgets to build a software project in the past, right? But now we have this opportunity to build the software for a specific purpose, make it work, a place where software unit economics didn't work earlier. So likewise, there's a lot of new opportunities for software to go into places where it didn't make sense earlier. So I think that's going to change, and it's going, and also more people are going to build software. And what I had realized now is, if you have clarity of thought on what you need, it's easy to build software now. And that's the biggest issue. So when we don't know what we want, then you can't build. But if you know what you want to build, it's easy to sort of orchestrate the AI and get it done. And it's going to get even more easier, because you need to know that this is actually an exponential sort of growth that's happening. Last year, probably people were arguing that it was good for code completion, but now it has actually changed a lot more. You can do a lot more, and almost like you can, module generation is almost on the brink and probably there already. I would argue that it's already there. And you, if you know what you want to build. One of the things that I did recently was, we did recently was that we ran a workshop called Build with AI for people who don't come from technical background. So this was part of a Yarl IT Hub program. We had about 50 plus participants. So there was a teacher who came for that program who actually ended up building a startup for teaching. And this teacher never thought that he could actually build software by himself to make it work at this level. So I find that to be fascinating. When these tools are given to people who have this problem that they know exists, they are the specialists in those domains. Now, when the superpower of building software is given to them, they're building amazing stuff, solving a real problem which is out there. It's an opportunity if you really look at, and if you have the agency to sort of learn that and do that and embrace it, I think it's an opportunity. So there's going to be a massive difference between people who embrace and people who don't embrace it. I understand that there are limitations, there are issues which you need to be careful. I'm not laying any of that down. But it's also opening up a lot more new doors. It's a revolution right at the brink of it. Especially if you are an entrepreneur, it's an interesting sort of phase to, because all the old playbooks are sort of been thrown out. So it's, everybody's in the, like at the same starting line almost right now. So that's the opportunity I see.
AI has made the playing field level for everyone who can, like, they can just start it off, and then especially Sayanthan, when you look at like throughout the human history, technology has like changed and then has made jobs redundant, and then new one pops up as well, which we don't see now. Like if you look at like a couple of years ago, like vibe coders or vibe programmers, they weren't like a thing. Now it is a thing as well. There's also this notion of young graduates thinking about, hey, are we going to lose jobs, etc., too, just because of AI? But the thing is, the next wave of like jobs, like similar to software engineers, might come in the future. We don't know how it looks like. So you are writing a book, like a AI natively. The book is a live book as well. So I'll leave a link to that book if anyone wants to read it. It's a very interesting one. Talks about like different aspects of this AI and then its journey too. What's your vision for Northern Province?
So I think probably more than a vision, I think vision is clear. We want to somehow create the North to be an innovation hub. That's sort of the vision that we work on. In order to achieve that, I think if we can sort of somehow instill in everyone the need for agency to take ownership and execute things and be curious to explore and try. And it's okay to fail. Even somebody who tries and fails is a hero. We can sort of instill that thought process at scale. I think that would be the best outcome that we can get. I think that's the most important outcome. Even with AI, I think one segment that is very hardly going to be replaced is entrepreneurs. So that opportunity is going to be there. Roles, I think, would change, as you said. Even youngsters, if they can start building on their own, I think they can do even bigger things. So I think that instead of the old playbooks of trying to find a job where you can fit in as an intern or a junior, might not exist. It might change, but like if you want to build something, there is a entire world in front of you where you can try. And even if you fail, people are going to happy to take you in because you come with a self-taught MBA. So that's sort of the opportunity I see, and I hope that there are more people who would actually take agency in anything. It doesn't have to be entrepreneurship, but like whatever that they want to execute, to take accountability, take responsibility, and do, and then that would create like a domino effect of more people sort of getting inspired by them and doing that. So that's what I wish for.
Thank you, Sayanthan, for joining today, and then wishing you all the very best for all the future endeavors.
Thank you so much, Shafraz. Thank you for the support over the so many years to Yarl IT Hub, and then professionally. And thanks for that, and all the very best, Shafraz.